I'm here with my main man, Justin,
How you
to
doing?
talk about the Jets' Week 4 win over the Jaguars and to look ahead to Week 5 when the Jets take on the Browns in Cleveland. Justin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing really, really well. These last two Jets wins have put me in very good spirits.
I know I'm feeling better than I thought I would at this point. It's week 4, 2-2, two more wins than I thought we'd have. Feeling real good.
See, I didn't think the Jets were going to go 0-16. I thought this team is way too talented, and like if this was last year's team with a bunch of old guys, they don't really need to prove anything. They're kind of on their last win. I could see them catering towards going 0-16, but this team is just way too young. I mean, you got guys like Adams and May, and guys on the offense like Anderson and now Curse, who
Absolutely.
cast off in Seattle for Sheldon Richardson, and motivated with Powell and McGuire. There's just too many young guys. I think to believe that they would go 0-16 this year.
I think it was just my inner Jets fan hysteria kicking in, the pessimism. Like I had a feeling we weren't going 0-16, but I can never count on us to win any week, whether it's against the Browns this week or the Jags before that. I could just never assume we're gonna win a game. So I was just figuring 0-16, so I can't be disappointed.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I thought it was going to be like a 4 or 5 win season, especially with these 3 games with the Dolphins, the Jags, and the Browns. 3 very winnable games. I thought they would win Week 1 in Buffalo. But yeah, 2 wins in a row is very exciting as a Jets fan.
I'm very excited. Buffalo's looking a lot better this year. Like they're looking a lot better than people gave them credit for.
Yeah, I mean, they still don't really have, an offense, but their defense is playing out of this world.
Yeah. Tyrod is a competent quarterback, and I think that's the best compliment you can give him. They have a good running game with Shady. I mean, they lost Watkins, they lost Ronald Darby, but their defenses looked a lot better than people thought. But this is a Jets podcast. Why are we
This
talking
is
about
a Jets podcast. We don't need to talk about the Bills.
What are we doing?
Talk about the Bills. Make a Bills podcast. So week 4, beat the Jags. What did you like? What you saw from the offense?
I loved what I saw from the running game. I mean, you have Josh McCown at quarterback. He is what he is. He has his deficiencies. He can be safe with the football at times, and as we saw towards the end of the game last week, he could be a little shaky. But I mean, it wasn't entirely his fault. But the running game was great. Bilal Powell, we've been saying it for years. I feel like it's just such a cliche thing at this point. But get him the ball. You need to give him the ball. And in a lot of ways, Elijah McGuire is the new Bilal Powell in the fact that you need to give him the ball. Matt Forte shouldn't be getting any more than 5 carries a game at this point. And I know he's hurt. When he comes back, he shouldn't be getting any more than 5 carries. But the running game was really good. The defense played very well. Jamal Adams is a star budding right in front of our eyes. Marcus May has looked very impressive this year. Morris Claiborne has been an excellent pickup.
Yeah, he's even staying on the field.
Exactly. That's his whole thing. If he can stay healthy, he could be a pretty good corner. But that was a good move. Leonard Williams finally, he had a little slow start, but he broke out last game at a really good game. Wilkerson, still nothing. I don't expect anything from him at this point. The inside linebacker struggling, but all in all, I think it was a good week. And we're 2-2 at week 4, and that's a lot better than a lot of people thought we'd be.
Yeah, going back to the offense, I think I've said it all year. Josh McCown is the perfect quarterback for this team. He's not gonna, go out and blow teams out, 35-10. But he's also not gonna, he's a quarterback that will keep you in games enough to make them interesting to watch. But he's not going to be the type of guy that's, Fitzpatrick throwing 6 interceptions in a game and making every Jets week, just like another, well, what the hell? Now we have to watch a Jets game this week. But yeah, the offensive line played really well in the run game. I thought Jacksonville got a good push in the passing game, but that's fine because their defensive line is one of the best in the league. But going into this week, it didn't seem like, the Jets were going to be able to run a lot on Jacksonville, and it seemed like potentially they were going to be playing from behind, especially with how good Jacksonville's secondary is. And I was in between whether or not the Jets were going to, win or be forced to throw the ball. And if they were forced to throw the ball a ton, that would obviously play into Jacksonville's favor. But, my favorite thing about this week was Forte's out. We're all clamoring for Bilal Powell to get the ball. Elijah McGuire, too. And they actually did something. I mean, how many times have we just been like, get this guy the ball, get this guy the ball. He finally gets his shot, and, he'll have – I was very excited we didn't get like a 10-carry, 45-yard game from Bilal Powell.
Yeah.
Very, very happy. And
I agree.
And even guys, Robbie Anderson had a nice catch. He played pretty well. Safarian-Jenkins had a phenomenal catch at the end of the first half. I love Safarian-Jenkins. I think he's out. He's got something to prove. He's a big tight end. He can actually catch. And I like how the Jets are actually incorporating him into the offense. I mean, the last couple of years, the tight end position has just been, wiped off the face of the Jets roster. Yeah. And now that you have a capable tight end and they're actually getting the ball, it's paying dividends.
Exactly. A lot of that comes down to the coaching. I mean, John Morton, the new offensive coordinator, was talking this offseason about how they wanted to incorporate the tight end more. And they went out and got Jordan Leggett. They drafted him. Still hasn't seen the field. He's been injured. But Austin Safarian-Jenkins coming back from his suspension, I think he got into excellent shape over the offseason. I actually picked him up in my fantasy league, which is something I never do. I never pick up Jets, but I picked up Austin Safarian-Jenkins because Greg Olsen got hurt. But I think
he's in the same predicament.
Yeah, I had him in both of my leagues, so I was just I got screwed. But I think Safarian-Jenkins has looked excellent since coming back, and I think he's only going to get better. This week against the Browns, he could have a big week because they struggle with covering tight ends. They got Peppers in there who's struggled at that point. But yeah, I mean, the offensive line did an excellent job in run blocking. Pass protection was a little iffy, but again, they have Calais Campbell. They have Yannick Ngakoue, who's one of the more underrated pass rushers. Kelvin Beachum kind of got messed up that game.
Yeah.
But Brent Qualley held his own because Shell was hurt. But
I was
Qualley
surprised.
held his own. I know, because you have Calais Campbell going against Brent Qualley. I thought it was a disaster, but he held his own. The guards and the center did a very good job at opening up holes. We have two solid guards in Carpenter and Winters. They're two of the more underrated players in this team. And they did a great job opening up holes for Powell and McGuire. I'm looking forward to see what they can do next week.
Yeah, I mean, is there a little bit in you that thinks, and this is so weird to say, judging just by this team and this year and the rhetoric around it, does this not just scream like huge letdown week for the Jets?
Oh, it totally does. Going into this week, I was like, we better not be favored to win because if we are, we're going to lose. But I've seen the betting lines coming out are showing that the Browns are still somewhat favored, which is really amazing to me, honestly. But I think with that being said, I think that makes us have a better shot at winning because if we're expected to win, the Jets will always do the opposite. The Jets always do the opposite of what you expect them to do. If you expect them to win, they're probably going to lose. So I think the fact that we're 2-2, people are like, hey, maybe the Jets have a chance. Maybe they're a decent team. Maybe they're almost 500. Now this screams we're going to lose to the Browns. Like that seems like a game we're going to lose.
Yeah. Switching over to the defense, I know we already talked about it a little bit. Go more into what you thought, what you saw, what you liked, what you didn't like from the defense against the Jaguars.
I know he got hurt in the game. This is more about the previous week, but Darryl Roberts has done an excellent job stepping in as the starting outside corner in the nickel package. Buster Skrine is one of the few players on this team that I do not like. I think he should have been gone when we got rid of all we purged the roster essentially in the offseason. I think he should have been one of the guys to go. The only reason they didn't is probably because we lacked depth at that position. I was very high on Justin Burris coming in the year, but clearly he's shown, especially in that game against the Raiders, that he has a long way to go before he can be considered a starting cornerback. But I think Roberts has played well. Claiborne has played excellent. Darren Lee still struggles, and that's the big thing. Like, he needs to take a major step forward to try and shed that bust label. Because I know it's only the second year, but people are already labeling him a bust. And Demario Davis is hit or miss. We know what he is. But Lee, they played him more at outside linebacker last game. And that fits his size more, but he can't shed blocks. He's not good at rushing the passer. And he can't cover. Not to mention he over pursues tackles. Like, the guy is not a starting linebacker. He's not a starting player on any defense. And it's really hurting us. But it's amazing that I like the fact, and Todd Bowles, who's gotten a lot of crap from Jets fans, and myself included.
Honestly, the way that he's coached this year, it's like night and day from last year. I mean,
it is. It really is.
Even just like taking Burris out of the game against Miami and not letting him play. I mean, we saw Terrence Brooks get one interception and then the other on the fake punch. Yeah. But Brooks played phenomenal, and so did Roberts.
Amazing.
And even just addition by subtraction, not putting Burris in, putting in a guy like Roberts, that shows good coaching. I mean, we go back to Rex. Burris would have been his guy. He would have stuck with him for 16 weeks, and he would have gotten beat 16 straight weeks. Bowles has done a great job this year of noticing who's not playing well and taking them out. And I also think Bowles has done a great job this year of managing a game. It's not He's not Belichick in the way that he manages games now, but he's not the Todd Bowles from last year of managing games. I think he's taken a great step forward.
I agree. I think that the game against Miami and Jacksonville are perfect examples of that because they shut down the run game in both of, like, especially against Miami. Their goal going into that game was stop Ajayi in the run game. And if you do that and you force Cutler to throw, you have a good chance of winning. They did just that. Ajayi couldn't get anything going. And we won the game. And it's the same thing at Jacksonville. I mean, Fournette had a better game, but you still stopped the run for the most part between the tackles. And I think we dominated the trenches in that game. And a lot of that has to do with how Bowles game planned, you know?
It seemed the first two or three drives from Jacksonville, I was like, oh shit, here we go again. You know, Fournette's going to get like 150 yards, just going to eat this defense up. But after that, they really just kind of regrouped and didn't let him do anything the rest of the game. And it seemed like, you know, the first three drives, it was kind of a culture shock to see, you know, this big, huge guy, like the Lynch kind of ate him up. They did very well with Ajayi, but then Fournette comes in and he just seems to get 3 or 4 or 5 yards of carry and he's just eating this defense up. And the first touchdown, you know, was on Lee, who did a terrible job of noticing Fournette coming out of the backfield. But even just that, it was just like, oh, shit, this guy's going to dominate us. And then they came back and they didn't let him do anything really the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think they just kind of snapped to. They realized what, like, again, Darren Lee got absolutely toasted on that play. Yeah. He felt it was a play action fake. I think he just fell for the play action over the middle and left his man wide open. But during, especially that second half, they did a great job of bottling him up. And whether it was Chris Ivory in there, whether it was with Corey Grant, that's his name, whether he was in there, they did an excellent job of stopping the run. And they got, for the most part, like decent pressure on Bortles. And I think a lot of that has to do with, I think a lot of credit should go to Mike Maccagnan and how he's made these waiver wire additions with David Bass, with Terrence Brooks trading for him. That was a questionable move at the time. I didn't like that move at all because you had Dexter McDougal was playing well.
By far the best Jets cornerback on the roster this preseason.
Yeah, I know. And then they trade him for a reserve safety, and it was confusing at the time. But you know, after the game Brooks had against Miami, and now, like, especially against the Dolphins, they were using 3 safeties a lot. I think he was in there on like 30, almost 40% of snaps. It's just, again, the game planning. But yeah, they picked up David Bass. They picked up Terrence Brooks. They got Jermaine Kearse and Jeremy Curley. Like, Kearse deal was a steal. Yeah. They got Jeremy Curley as well. I think Maccagnan has done a good job of filling the holes on this roster. I mean, first it was Will Tye, they just released him actually today.
He played good in the first 2 weeks.
He did play fine, yeah. I think this roster went from one of the least talented in the league with a lot of question marks to a competent roster, a solid, okay roster that can win some games, and we're showing that right now.
And talking about Maccagnan, the first year was Band-Aid moves. I mean, it just, you know, you got a shit ton of cap space. Let's just sign a bunch of players, and those players play to the best end of the spectrum that they possibly could. Obviously, in 2016, the regression. And now that they cut all the dead weight, like you said, they got a steal for Sheldon, who they knew he was walking at the end of the year. He wasn't coming back. They weren't resigning him. He's got 2 strikes and a 3-strike policy. They ended up finessing a second-round pick and a pretty competent number 2 receiver in Jermaine.
I can't believe they even got a second-rounder. I was hearing like 3rd, 4th rounder. The fact that they got a second-rounder and Jermaine Kearse, that's a steal.
Exactly. And Kearse looks like a guy that, moving forward, could be a wide receiver 1 or 2. Or, you know, if you have a core of Enunwa, Anderson, and Kearse going forward next year, I'm not, you know, putting him in the Super Bowl parade. Yeah. That's a really nice, you know, for a rookie quarterback, something that, you know, we didn't think would happen this year. Getting rid of Marshall, I get it. Getting rid of Decker was the weird one because
that was questionable.
You no matter who you were going to start, whether it's Petty, Hackenberg, or McCown, you need a guy to throw to.
Yeah.
And going in, we had Enunwa, who was unproven as a number 1, and we obviously won't be able to see that this year. But even having just a guy like Decker would have been huge for evaluating talent. And now you get Jermaine Kearse. He's not an Eric Decker type, but he's filled in very well, and he's played better than Marshall and Decker throughout the first 4 weeks of the season. And I think another big one that you failed to mention, I don't know how you missed this, Coney Ealy.
Coney Ealy. I can't believe I forgot about that. Coney Ealy has been spectacular. He's one. The thing is, with our defense, we lack a true edge rushing presence. I mean, Leonard Williams is good. He's very good, but he's not a true edge rusher.
He's a true edge rusher for years. It's been
exactly.
You know, when they had Harrison, Richardson, and Wilkerson, what do they need? I mean, granted, if a guy like Leonard Williams comes to you at that pick, you're definitely not going to pass him up.
Yeah.
But, they've needed an edge rusher, and it seems like, Ely was on a scrap heap from New England. And when people sign, Belichick cast-offs, it's you kind of raise your eyebrow at it because Belichick has shown that he drops guys, when the time is right. You saw it with Revis, you saw it with Richard Seymour, you saw it with guys like that. Getting Coney Ely, and he creates a ton of pressure, is huge for this team.
It's huge. It feels damn good to take away a playmaker from New England rather than vice versa. I feel like all of our scrap heap players end up going to New England and they become really good. Danny Woodhead, they become good players, But our outside linebackers right now, they're okay. They're below average. Jordan Jenkins is an average outside linebacker at best. He's not a pass rusher. He's decent in contain, a decent run stopper, but he's never going to be a guy. He doesn't have an established pass rush move to get to the quarterback.
No.
And then Josh Martin or whoever you want to throw in there, Freddie Bishop, I think he's on a practice squad now. Dylan Donahue, by the way, just got placed in the IR, which is a damn shame. I feel bad about that because I liked what I saw from him. But Coney Ely is that guy who can come off the edge, get to the quarterback, and create pressure. And we saw that last game against Jacksonville.
Yeah, and that's huge. It takes because watching in the first 3 or 4 weeks, it's good to get Sheldon off the roster, but watching the double teams just eat up Leonard Williams for the first 4 weeks just broke my heart. I mean, take Mo Wilkerson out of the picture. I have nothing good to say about Mo Wilkerson. You look up Mo Wilkerson on Twitter and you just see videos of him just double teams, and he has no ambition to fight through them at all. Jogging
after ball carry. I think it was the first game of the year. It was a run by Shady, and I just saw him jogging after. I mean, it's awful. It's the minimal effort. It kills me. And I believe they can cut him after this year and not have to pay him a decent amount of the salary. And if he wants to have any shot at I'm not even being on this team, at being considered a decent candidate for any team, he better start showing effort. He's not gonna, based on everything we've seen. And he's nursing a shoulder injury again, which I heard from what it was I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I don't freaking know. But it was like a grade 1 MC or something in his shoulder, some shit in his shoulder. And
I don't know how you get a shoulder injury when you do absolutely nothing.
Exactly. He's chasing after him. That's how he messed up his shoulder. But it's
all those moves he's trying to put on.
Yeah, exactly. The fake swim move. No, it's a really minor injury, and Bowles was like, it's not affecting him at all. He literally came out and said, this is not affecting him. And I know they say that sometimes, but it's such a minor injury that there's no way he can't blame it on that.
No, especially not now, especially what we saw last year and then this year too. Even just, I get if his stats were down and you look at the tape and he's, trying to fight through, maybe missing a tackle, maybe getting to the quarterback just as he's throwing it. But you look at the tape and the stats, they match up perfectly. I mean, he has one
QB hit, I think, on the year and 4 tackles. I think that's what his statistics are. No sacks. He's gotten to the quarterback and touched him once. Yeah, and it's not like he's getting doubled for the most. I mean, sometimes they might be getting doubled, but now they're doubling Leonard Williams because they realize that he's a bigger threat.
Yeah, you have no need to double Mo Wilkerson at all.
And they're doubling McClendon up the middle on the run plays, so Wilkerson could easily make a play there, but he's not. McClendon also has had a pretty solid year. I think he had a good start to last year and kind of tailed off, but he's looked decent.
Yeah. Let's look ahead to Cleveland, Week 5. We already talked about it. Jets.
Yes.
From what I've seen, it's Cleveland -1.5, I think.
Yeah, I think they're favored right now.
Which,
a little bit.
Which, you know what? I don't really care. It's weird to see the Jets coming off of 2 wins and then just seeing the Browns after getting manhandled by Cincinnati. I get it because they're at home, but things just don't. That doesn't really add up to me. But whatever. Jets are going into Cleveland, 2 straight wins. What do you want to see? What do you expect? What do you want to get into against Cleveland next week?
I think the key to this game is, once again, if you could stop the running game, and the Browns' running game has been pretty non-existent this year. Mm-hmm. Isaiah Crowell has not done much. They've been trailing in a lot of games, so they haven't really been able to run the ball. And I think if you force them to throw the ball again, DeShone Kizer's going to make mistakes. And we have players in the secondary now who can capitalize on them. Morris Claiborne, he's not known as an interception guy, but I think he can capitalize and get a pick this week. Jamal Adams is all over the field. I saw, I think it was from Connor Hughes on Twitter. He's basically like, he's our best linebacker, cornerback, and safety.
Yeah, I mean, the guy, I kind of stayed away from talking about him in May because this would just turn into the Jamal Adams and Marcus May love fest.
Yeah, exactly. He was my favorite player coming out of this class. Like, I had him even above Myles Garrett in terms of just complete prospects, like off the field, no injury concerns, nothing. Like, he was the perfect prospect, and he's lived up to that right now. I mean, anything can happen. Knock on wood. It's the Jets. You know, he could tear his ACL next week. Who knows? But I think he's played well. If you force back to the Browns, if you force Kizer to throw the ball, he's going to make mistakes. I think he has 3 touchdowns, 8 picks on the year. Bad numbers. Still like a 51% completion percentage. If we can force him to throw the ball, we're winning this game.
And one thing on Adams, I think the biggest thing with him is just being that vocal leader on the team. Because we've seen guys, you know, Revis, he wasn't really a vocal leader. He was more of a lead by example. They haven't really ever had a star defensive player that was a vocal leader, like getting in guys' faces, pumping everybody up. Adams, you know, I feel like throwing on a Jets uniform, putting the pads on, and going out there whenever he's on.
Exactly.
Like, he just pumps me up. And then May is the complete opposite, which jives well. I mean, you never hear his name being called, which is a great thing for safety.
Yep.
Always making tackles. He's never, you never hear, Marcus May got beat on that play. He's always just seems to be in the right place at the right time, making the right plays. But yeah, like you said, force Kizer to throw the ball. I mean, we saw with Blake Bortles last week, if they force any amount of pressure on Bortles, those balls were 5-10 yards over his head.
Awful.
They were behind him. I mean, the first drive, I was like, God damn it. Like, we're going to get London Blake Bortles again. Yeah. And then it just turned into regular Blake Bortles. So, yeah, forcing Kizer to throw the ball. And I think Bowles has done a lot with blitzing. And I love
definitely.
Them get after Kizer. I know you said you hate Buster Screen. He's a phenomenal corner blitzer.
He's a great nickel blitzer. That's what coverage skills be damned, because he's a great nickel blitzer. He may be a liability in coverage, may get more pass interference penalties than actual good coverage attempts. But that's besides the point, because he can blitz the quarterback, and if you could just use him in that role, hell yeah, put him on the field. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and going after a rookie quarterback, like I said, Bowles, I'm very confident that he's going to dial something up to where it's going to force Kizer into some mistakes. And the thing that you can force guys into mistakes, the thing is you have to capitalize on these mistakes. I want to see the Jets get out to an early 10, 14-point lead and force – I mean, that's it's wishing for a lot. It's wishing for a lot. But I want to see them force Kizer to beat them. And if Kizer beats them, so be it. I'm willing to take my chances with him.
I will definitely take those chances too. If Kizer comes out there and starts throwing some good balls and actually beats the Jets, doesn't make mistakes, and beats the Jets, then so be it. The Browns deserve that win. But if we can force them to throw the ball, we have a good chance of winning. And on offense, if we can open up, because their defense going into this year looked good on paper. Yeah, guys like Jamie Collins, Danny Shelton's a good player. Myles Garrett is going to be playing, I heard, week 5. So he'll make his NFL debut against the Jets. I'm sure you'll hear his name called. He'll be matched up with, I don't know if he'll be matched up with Shell if he's back, or Beachum, but one of them will have their hands full.
And the thing is, though, the Jets have played pretty well against these pass rushers. I mean, Cologne had the 1 sack on the jailbreak play. Miami's front four is really, like, when they played against the Chargers, they didn't even need a blitz. It was just those front 4 guys generating a push. And going up against the Jaguars front 4, same thing. And the Jets held their own against those 3 teams. So if Garrett gets a sack, good for him. I don't see him being this, Myles Garrett. I'm scared shitless of him.
Yeah, I mean, he's still nursing the ankle injury, so he could be slowed down a little bit. But yeah, like you said, Brandon Shell held his own against Khalil Mack, who's one of the best pass rushers in the league. Right. And Shell gave him 1 sack. It was 1 sack, but I'm pretty sure it was like 1 or 2 QB rushes the entire game. Mm-hmm. He played very, very well, and I think he's coming along very nice. Beachum has been a solid addition. He got beat last game, but a solid addition at left tackle. Our O-line, like, the offensive line talent around the league is at an all-time low. It's the worst it's ever been. And our O-line –
it's been beaten to death this year.
It really has. It's atrocious.
The narrative of, the offensive – all right, we get it. They're bad. But,
exactly.
Why don't we look at the other side and see all these phenomenal pass rushers that we have?
There's a lot of them. There's a reason you see guys like – I think it was like Ryan Anderson of Alabama, guys that are – basically one-trick pony pass rushers. They're falling to like the 3rd, 4th round even, because sure they can get to the passer, but there's so many of them nowadays that they're at a premium, or they're not at a premium. There's too many of them.
Right. Yeah, and I think the Jets. I think they're going to contain Garrett, honestly, and I don't see. I want them if Forte plays. I don't want him to touch the ball once.
Yeah,
not one time.
definitely.
I mean, we've seen. You know what you're getting in Matt Forte. It's just hand the ball off 2nd and 8, hand the ball off 3rd and 9. Like,
yeah,
you
it's
know,
the same thing every time.
Right, and it puts your offense in a shitty spot because then the defense knows you're going to throw, and then they can just sit on the routes and whatnot because McCown, he's good for the 2 or 3 deep balls a game, but like, and if you could get into 3rd and 4s or 2nd and 5s, that opens it up. And Powell and McGuire have shown that they can catch the ball out of the backfield, obviously, and they're quick and they're shifty. I mean, Powell, the 75-yard touchdown run. Do you see Matt Forte jumping over a guy? He would, throw the ball to the left.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Matt Forte is basically Mr. Fall forwards for 2 yards. That's basically what he does. Yeah. He'll get the ball and he won't make any moves. I mean, he has decent vision because he's still a competent running back, but it's not 2009 anymore. Matt Forte shouldn't be carrying the ball 15 times. He shouldn't be. You got to have Bilal Powell in there. You got to put Elijah McGuire in there. Split them 50-50 if you want. I mean, you could even give Powell more carries, but it's been the same offensive game plan for the past few weeks. It's John Morton's West Coast style offense. Every once in a while, try a deep ball to Robbie Anderson, which they've been pretty successful on because they keep doing all this underneath stuff that eventually the go route is going to be open and they'll hit Robbie Anderson for 40 yards.
How nice is it to see an actual good placed deep ball?
It's
great. It's not thrown 5 yards behind him or 10 yards over his head. I mean, the couple of deep balls the touchdown in Miami was perfect. Beautiful. The one in against Jacksonville last week against Bouye, which Anderson killed him at the line with a nice little
He's a good corner. He's a good cornerback.
Right. Stutter move to the inside and then just beat him out on one-on-one. But just like seeing a nice deep pass right into the guys, it's
beautiful.
It brings a tear to my eye.
It's such a beautiful thing to watch. It's like, there's the whole thing, like there's no greater feeling than like hitting a perfect drive in golf. There's no greater feeling than watching a quarterback make a perfect deep ball just to a receiver. It falls right in his arms. It's great. And especially when we were playing the Jaguars, watching what Bortles can do. Right. It made you appreciate Josh McCown even more. And it's crazy saying that, but it made you appreciate Josh McCown.
Are you okay? You need to get your temperature checked?
I don't know what's going on. Hold on, I need to drink water.
You might want to take more sipping over there. Oh. All right, before we get into our actual prediction for Week 5, give me a bold prediction for the Jets first.
Ooh, bold prediction. Put me on the spot here. All right. Josh McCown, 3 touchdown passes, 250 yards passing. That's my bold prediction.
No interceptions?
One interception. He's got to have one in there. One interception.
Just a token guy falls down interception.
Yeah, Powell falls down again. There's an interception. There we go. Because he's got to have one in there. It can't be a perfect game. I think that's a very bold prediction.
My bold prediction is our Darius Stewart.
Ooh.
7 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown.
Wow. I don't know which one's bolder. He needs to see the field to get 7 catches. I don't even think he's going to put him on the field. I don't think he had 7 snaps last game.
No, I think they're I want to. This is me planting my flag in the sand. I want to see more our Darius Stewart.
I agree.
The same bold prediction all year until it happens.
Okay, I agree. I mean, I like Jeremy Curley, but we don't need to be seeing him taking away snaps from Darius Stewart. And I want to see Chad Hansen out there too. He's barely seen the field.
I know.
Like, we drafted a receiver in the 3rd and 4th round. We're a rebuilding team. Why are they not on the field?
Right. We know you know what you have in Curley. The guy's
exactly.
He's a good receiver. But like this could have been nice, a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Not now when we have Stewart and Hansen and Robbie Anderson and guys like that need to see the field, that need reps.
Just imagine a young core with a running back led by Elijah McGuire, receivers with Quincy Nuno, Robbie Anderson, Darius Stewart, Chad Hansen, and a tight end with Jordan Leggett. That's if everything works out, and you have young stalwarts like Brandon Shell on the line, and Wesley Johnson's relatively young. We got a better offensive core than people think. I mean, all the talk is about how good our defense could be in the next couple of years.
Right.
Our offense has weapons, I guess you can call them that. I think it's better than people give them credit for.
I 100% agree. All right. Let's end it with the prediction. Jets-Browns, Week 5. What do you got for me?
Do you want to score or do you want just win-loss.
No, yeah, let's go score.
Score? Okay. I want to get one of these this year right. I want to get one of these exactly right.
I'm going
to say
I said Jets 24, Jags 17, and I was very close.
That's really close. I can't because I have to say Browns. I'm going to say Browns 24, Jets 21. Only because if the Jets win, then I'm happy. If the Browns win, now I'm happy because I got the prediction right. It's a win-win.
All right. Let's see. I've been actually pretty close. A little bit. I think this is another bold prediction. Jets 31.
Wow.
Cleveland 17.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So 2 scores.
They're going to win by 2 touchdowns.
My bold prediction still works for my prediction too.
That's right.
21, so it still works.
Touchdowns of the game.
Yeah, and we're going to lose. Josh McCown's going to go throw 3 touchdowns, and we're going to lose the game.
Unbelievable. All right.
Very bold.
That was it. We'll be back next week with our Week 5 breakdown. Hopefully, all these bold predictions and these predictions come true. Well, not your predictions.
Hopefully, mine doesn't.
We'll be back next week. Hopefully, breaking down the Jets' 3rd win in a row, and then looking forward to the Week 6 matchup against those Patriots at home at MetLife. So yeah, we'll be back next week.
Sounds good.